Okay. We're reading this. And here we go. We've all heard stories of spoiled people and their entitled attitudes. Blah blah blah. It's basically saying, oh yeah, call the police. I was I was at the Ford dealership getting my oil change and killing time by walking through the big showroom. There was a Mustang GT sitting there in the middle of with a huge bow on it, and folks were gathered around waiting for someone. A few minutes later, the family comes in with their son, who immediately yells about wanting it in blue instead of black, and denting the passenger door with a swift kick. I would murder my child on the spot if they did that. Oh my, I mean, the dent is easily fixed, but I would murder my child on the spot. I spent so much money to get this for you, and you don't like it, fuck you. Veterans. My sister refused to look for a job, and as a result, moved back home. She used my parents' vehicle to drive around with her boyfriend and go to parties and stuff. One day, there's a family emergency, and the car is not in the driveway for her use. She throws a tantrum, trashes the house, and runs away with the boyfriend. By the way, my sister's 22 years old. Wow. Wash her mouth out. I was in Toys R Us in the 90s. A mother and daughter who had to be around 12 were shopping. The girl asked if she can have some toy. Her mom said no. We're here to get a gift for it. The girl asked once or twice more. The mom declined. The girl said, "Fuck you, mommy," and took off running. The mother chased after her while the kid cursed her out. Eventually, it must have ended. I went to check out, and there was not only got the mother not only got her toy she wanted, but actually apologized. Catty. My cat is only eating his kibble, only eats his kibble if it's a whole piece. He ignores broken ones. Spoiled cat, I mean brat. Fucking assholes who wear fur. Ooh, it's shiny. In my house, I actually have one of these. I have one of these TVs. It's partially broken, and I bet you if I get a different, another screen for it, I can fix it. But, okay. My employer's two sons have everything paid for, so they never have to worry about cost. They both have everything they want and need. One of them likes expensive, shiny things, and he always throws fits until he gets what he wanted. From what his dad told me, for Christmas, he wanted a 12,000 55-inch Samsung Curve TV, even after his dad stated that the budget was 1,000 for each. He threw fits and got mad at his dad, and his dad, being the wimp he is, apologized and ended up buying it for him anyway. The son is 21 years old. Also, that's how retainers work. Okay. Pass the classy fields, please, whatever. A friend of mine married a rich man. Old coal money or something. No one in the family has to work. They all just live off investments. Anyway, she was crying one day because her mother-in-law was threatening to cut her husband's allowance, and he might have to gasp, get a job. Well, actually, legally, the mother can't cut his allowance because he is part of the family. And he does have a right to, since he is the son, he does have a right to that money. That's the thing, is that what the parents don't understand is that these kids do have a right to your money. They are the kids. And one day when you are older, they're going to get your money. You can't tell them no, they can't have your money. They can go to family court. I went to school with a girl who got a 12,000 BMW and cried and cussed out her parents because she wanted She didn't get a 2015 model. Fucking BMW sucks anyway. Okay, I like BMWs, but I like the kind of BMW that was in Need for Speed. No, that's cool BMW. Those things are fucking fast. Um, but me on my own or else. Okay. These titles really need to get better. When my brother broke off one of the rearview mirrors on my father's nicest cars 2 days before getting his license, driving illegally because he couldn't bother with with the 5-minute walk to the store on a mildly sunny day to get a can of soda. He just put the car in the garage as if it was nothing. My parents brought him a brand new motorcycle so that he wouldn't be tempted to borrow the car anymore. I may have seen worse, but this was in my family, so. Jet set. In college, I knew a girl whose daddy was some big shot banker or something. He had enough that the wife didn't have to work, and the 3 kids could go on to expensive schools with little financial aid. This girl didn't have to work during college. All her supplies, lodging was paid for by daddy, and got to fly home every time there was a 3-day weekend, all on her father's dime. Once I borrowed $10 from her to pay for food, and we went to. I promised I would pay her back once I got my check next week. At the time, I was working at a cafe. She didn't. She seemed cool with it. It turns out she was not cool with it, and promptly bashed me on her blog to all her other friends, calling me a bad person and a thief, all because I borrowed $10, which I paid her back. I brought I brought up the blog post, and she was very embarrassed. Last I heard, she was living in Manhattan in Daddy paid Manhattan apartment, working a part-time as a receptionist at a yoga studio. She started a new blog about the struggle. Edit. Another instance was back in high school, so the details are a little fuzzy. But there were 2 girls, one daughter of oil money and 2 the daughter of a garbage truck corporation. They were always trying to outdo each other. The oil money's brand new Audi convertible got a brand new Audi convertible when she got her license. Rich people problems from I'm from a rich area in Dallas, so I've seen some stuff. I went back to visit my childhood best friend was complaining that her parents only let her go to New Zealand instead of Amsterdam. Her dad is a multi-millionaire, and both of her teenage brothers drive Teslas. Teslas aren't this cool thing. They're a fucking electric car. Get over it. If you want to be truly rich and truly cool, buy an actual expensive fucking car. Teslas aren't cool. They just make you look stupid. Plus, Elon Musk is a fuckwad, so he can go fuck himself. I don't hate Elon Musk. He's just nuts. Jesus Christ. My male friend was complaining to me that he didn't get to go to prom in a Hummer limo, only a regular stretch. He looked at me like he was going to pass out when I told him I missed prom in high school to go work night shift. I'm glad I don't know them anymore. Me either. I'm glad you don't know them anymore. I dated a girl who was given a brand new car for her 60s. She had less than a year before she crashed it. Her parents bought her a used car. She had it for about a year before crashing it. They bought her a third car used when her brother turned to she pitched a fit because he got a new car. Well, she was driving around her used car. Yeah. Jobs are easy. I don't know her personally, but I'm still friends with the guy who dated one of her friends, and I heard this from him. We all went to a private, pretty expensive school in the USA. The spoiled, rotten girl got a degree in journalism and promptly moved to London to find a job. Her parents rented her an apartment, and I assume I paid for her life for about 2 years before she was forced to move back. She had never looked for a job, nor was she employed well there. Once back in the States, she refused to live in her parents' house, citing that she was a grown woman. How could this be expected of her? Her parents bought her apartment. Last I heard, she still lives in the apartment without a job, but has moved because it's lame Brooklyn, not Manhattan. See, even Elon Musk would be like, "What?" Here, now quiet. My friend of mine saved up for an iPod when they first came out. He literally saved for a year to get it. His mom took him and his sister to the mall so he could purchase this. His sister started throwing a tantrum because she didn't have one out. Their mom was so fed up with her about it, she bought his little sister one to just shut her up. Actually, sometimes that's all. Okay, when parenting, there are some times where it's just all you can do. You can't do anything about it. Because you make bigger. A friend I went to high school with had got a slightly smaller iPad Pro for his birthday. He wanted a bigger one with more memory. He proceeded to put it on record and throw it off the roof in retaliation. His parents bought him another iPad Pro, the correct one, as he put it. I didn't talk to him anymore because he was a condescending jerk. Yep. It's not good enough. For a girl's 16th birthday, she was given a brand new Mercedes-Benz and immediately broke down crying in front of all of us. There, about 20 of her guests. She was upset because she wanted a Porsche, not a Mercedes. I had to walk 3 miles home because I still didn't have a car. Yep. There's still a hope. My boyfriend's sister had a skirt skirted line of spoiled rotten, but for now she's just spoiled. She throws fits the moment school and work gets a little bit too challenging for her, like full on screaming temper tantrums. Whenever she feels overwhelmed, her mom will spend hours doing her research homework, writing her papers for her. I would report this to the school, but it wouldn't be blatantly obvious who did it. If it wouldn't be blatant, her mom is an educator and should know better. The family should know better. Once we had her boyfriend, once she once had her boyfriend drive 4 hours out for four another 4 back to pick her up during a family trip because she didn't have space private enough to focus on her schoolwork. We were all sharing rooms and dealing with a lack of space equally. Mom ended up doing that schoolwork for her. Her parents even offered to give her the master bedroom to herself. which would have been two of us sleeping on the floor. I should mention that the girl is 22 and in college. She she does have a sales job, which she is surprising me with, which is why I think she still has a hope of being a productive adult. See, that's the thing is I do hope that one day, and she is good at sales. So that means she does have a talent for it. So that means she should just, I'm not saying dump college. I'm saying that she should go into college for sales. Not do the research paper. Change his name quick. I went to school with a kid who had the initials BMW and cried when he got a new Audi instead of a new BMW. He wanted a car with his initials. Fetch my slippers. My current roommate, he's an only child who decided to live with females. He expected us to be his mothers and was confused when we told him to clean up his messes and do his laundry. He refused to buy toilet paper because he thought I would supply it for him for an entire year. I he physically fought me when I told him to buy his own. He sat the rest of us down and told us he needed us to give him more attention. He told his mother he felt sad, so she flew to our apartment across country than an hour of him to say so. The list goes on. Champagne all around, or not. I worked at a nightclub for a while and went to service a customer, just a random customer amongst hundreds of others, who insisted I sell her a bottle of champagne on my bar. The only sold bottle we only sold bottles in our VIP section. So I told her that I said she is welcome to go upstairs and ask purchase booth in the VIP. She got increasingly aggressive at me because I wouldn't service her the bottle then and there. She went on to shout at me that she alone pays my wages and that I wouldn't be getting paid due to me not selling her a bottle. I was stunned and kept telling her that just go upstairs and ask the same question to my coworkers upstairs. She left the club after that and didn't buy a drink. I'm not saying it's excusable that she did that, but she kind of is paying your wages, dude. You should have just walked up and did what she said. Jesus Christ. At what point is the person spoiled rotten and you just not wanting to do your job? I think it's both that you just didn't want to do your job and that the person is spoiled rotten. Carry me, Kamina. It's a different kind of spoiled than other stories. Recently, I had a friend tell me that her friend's daughter had to go to the doctor, and the girl is about 6 years old with the body of a 3-year-old. She's 30 pounds skinny as a rail. The doctor asked about her diet and exercise. The father, my friend's friend, was too naive to realize that her child needed to play. The mom and dad waited on her hand and foot. Yes, she ate food, but was picky and didn't go outside to play. She was an absolute princess. That's all that her mom wanted. She wore tiaras and dresses, and her parents were her subjects. She didn't have friends, and I don't know how she got through school. She could be homeschooled or just a year before school. But she had no muscle development, and the mother was raised the same way. I guess it's the princess thing. She was a spoiled jerk to her boyfriend, but I don't have stories about that. In the end, they signed her up for karate. I hope she turned into Milan instead of Sleeping Beauty. Color is everything. I heard a girl screaming at her parents for buying her the wrong color car. She threatened them and said that she would intentionally wreck the car and make them buy her a new one. She could get the right color, and the idiots could get it right. The car was brand new M3. She was maybe 17. Wow. Ew. Um, I think I'll break up the negativity with a thread about a good spoiled kid. I knew this guy in high school whose parents were loaded. I'm talking like multi-million-dollar house in Louisiana loaded. He invited a few of us over for dinner sometimes. I remember one time his parents brought us a big slice of chocolate cake and noticed him a bit. We were cool with it. It was his house, right? He demands that we get cake too, and that it's not fair. He he also regularly learns some of us his allowance money. He got like $1,000 a month from his parents. So sometimes he showed up at my door with $100 and stuffs it in your pocket, all around a cool dude. Oh my god! Welcome to Louisiana, 'cause they all friendly over there. Not all of them are friendly, but there are people like this in Louisiana. There are some of the really, really rich people over there, and some of them are some of the friendliest people you will ever meet in your life. Buy me something, anything. A woman I know plans trips, fully expecting other people to pay for everything. Either her dad, boyfriend, or some random guy she ends up paying for everything. Oh, okay. Um, I'm not okay with this. It's just okay. Walking is for suckers. A friend went to Disneyland with her sister and niece. Her sister got her 10-year-old daughter a wheelchair to be wheeled around so she didn't get too tired. It wasn't so they could get special treatment or go through lines quicker, just because her kid is spoiled and lazy. My friend asked her niece, "See all these kids running around having fun? Don't you want to too?" The kid just ignored. The little girl has a problem with her weight. Tony the Tiger versus the Captain. It's me. According to my older brother and sister, I'm spoiled rotten because my mom bought me Captain Crunch after my brother and sister left the house and went off to college. This happened when I was 15. In 15 and 30 frickin' years later, I it's brought up at every family gathering how spoiled I was because I got Captain instead of Frosted Flakes. Oh, the shame I've lived with. Oh my god, fucking Captain Crunch is disgusting. Frosted Flakes is delicious. What the fuck? He's a man. He's a man of fucking taste, not a fucking cur that lives on the ground. What the fuck? Uh, this isn't spoiled. This is just having preference. It's called having preference. Having preference isn't spoiled. A boat boy. My roommate is an application essay reader for university's business school. He just tells me about this kid who wrote his overwhelming hardship essay about how he wanted a boat because all of his friends had boats, and it was hard for him to be left out. He then overcame his hardship when his parents bought him a boat. Okay. A girl from my high school. You know what? I think this kid is just an idiot. I think the boat boy's just a fucking retard. Husky. The girl from my school went bragging to people, begging people who retweeted one retweet of hers because she's got over 100 retweets, and her mom will get her a husky puppy. And yet, she got a number of retweets, and her parents got her a puppy. Just because of retweets. Yahoo! She's it. Okay, at what point is this... Are some of these people spoiled rotten or just too dumb to live without their parents helping them? I think it's just that they're too dumb to live without their parents helping them. Cute. Metal vocalist. Gross! Normie. I can't understand anything. Metalheads. You don't listen, do you? Aw, cute little puppy. Cute. He's fluffy. 50 million? My family is well off, so there's a lot of spoiled brats in the family. My uncle wanted his daughter to do well in life, so he sent her to college hoping she'd continue with some type of career as he slowly cut her funding. She broke down within a few weeks, so he backed off, let her quit school, and gave her 50 million because he couldn't watch his little princess stress about anything. Well, actually, she's set for life now. All she has to do is, while visiting my ex-boyfriend and his closest friends in Switzerland, my friend's little sister had a birthday dinner with us that night, so we decided to get her... What? Oh, it's part of the same story. Oops. While visiting my ex-boyfriend and his closest friend in Switzerland, my friend's little sister had a birthday dinner with us that night, and we decided to get her a pie. Pie from the local shop that wasn't good enough for her, apparently, and she threw a fit. We took the helicopter to France to buy a pie. Oh, it sounds like you're spoiled rotten too. Nah. Good kid. When I was teaching in Kuwait, one of the kids there was a relative of the owner and would just do nothing all day but sleep in class. One day, he got mad and hit the teacher and got suspended for a week. I say suspended because it was really a vacation to Dubai for him. He came back with a $20,000 Falcon, and that his father bought him because he had been good. The kid was 12. The kid could fucking die in a hole. How about that? Fuck that kid. I worked at Taco Bell in HS at the time. We had kids meals, and this kid comes in with his parents and orders a kids meal. Apparently, he had been in recently and already had a toy. He started screaming at me to give him another toy. His dad looked at me with an absolute dejected look in his face and begged me for a toy. I dug through the new toy box and found one. The kid ripped it out of my hand and ran outside directly into a rose bush. My coworker was legit laying on the ground laughing. Oh, math attack? I was tutoring a 7th grader. I asked him to do the first half of his homework without his calculator. It wasn't calculus. I was asking him to do basic multiplication, 7 times 5, 4 times 8. Nothing crazy. He threw a tantrum, and I stuck to my guns. His mom came and asked what was wrong. She asked him to do 2 problems without his calculator, but he continued. She went down to 1 problem. He throws himself on the floor, rolling around, grabbing things and throwing them.
all screaming that we were ruining his life and just wanted to see him fail. At this point, I'm just sitting back, appreciating my parents, appreciating the fact that I don't have children. She tries to calm him down and eventually tells him it's okay to let him do the calculator. He got a Wii U the next day. Fuck that kid. Oh my god. What the fuck? In elementary school, these girls' parents would pack them pizza Lunchables every single day for her lunch. I used to have to sit and watch her unpack it, eat the pizza and the fun-sized candy that comes with the boxes, then throw the rest of it away in the trash. Rinse and repeat. I still get angry about this to this day. Yeah, no, that is ridiculous. Tuition to Yale check, brand new car check, trips to Europe check. And all she had to do was eat dinner with her grandparents every Friday night. Okay? This doesn't sound... You know, I'm gonna say this. You're just an asshole pancakes the bunny. You could go fuck yourself. She literally sits and eats dinner with her grandparents. Yeah, it's for money, but she's being nice about it. Gucci gang. I dated a girl whose parents would give her sister and her matching Gucci bags every year. Ugh. Like that. And she didn't like that color, so she complained to me for weeks about how much she hated it. I just wanted to steal it and pawn it off, so I could buy an Xbox and a few games. Once I overheard a guy who received $1 million from his dad and called it a small loan. Well, yeah. Burn, baby, burn. A kid who went to my middle school, but a different high school, was upset at his parents that brought him the wrong car. He took it into a field and set it on fire. In my freshman year of college, there was a kid with really rich parents. Fuck. I think he was from India. Everyone hated him because he was a real braggart and wasn't making it up. He really didn't deserve it, and would never study or anything, and would constantly interrupt the pet and nag him over puddling nonsense. So the rest of us never get to learn anything before. Not everyone has fortunate home, buddy. We actually need to learn from class. That's when I would have got up and punched him in the fucking face. Like, yeah! Bratty teenager yelled at her dad about her cell phone not working and told him to run to the Apple store for her while she waited in line to buy something else with his credit card. He did it and came back to her with a new phone to make it. Maybe it's easier to say yes than start a fight. You know, in most of these cases, it's the parents just saying, it's not the parents being bad parents, it's the parents saying, it'll kill me before arguing with her, so I might as well go do it. My cousin, when he turned 16, my aunt and uncle got him a brand new BMW convertible. When he hit a deer and totaled that, they got him a Mustang GT convertible. When he ran that into a ditch, speeding at night on Texas backcountry roads, they got him a fully loaded F-250 so that he would be safer. Good choice. That's a good choice in my mind. Like, okay, why buy him these two, the BMW convertible and the Mustang convertible, when you can buy him an F-250 and he can literally do whatever he wants with that? Because they're so high off the fucking ground that no matter what, his shocks are just gonna fucking bounce off it and say, what? I went to a super rich summer camp near Boston, Mass, that my dad was the dean at. I kid you not, everyone everywhere. There were some 14-year-old kids that didn't know how to wipe their own behinds. Game, set, match. Mercedes, so nice we bought it twice. There was a girl in high school that got a brand new Mercedes for her first car. At some point, the car needed to be refueled, so she took the car into the station to fill the tank with diesel, and it was not a diesel car. The car needed an entirely new engine and was pretty much totaled. So her parents bought her a new Mercedes the next day. Well, yeah, when you're rich and an idiot. I love how rich kids are so fucking stupid, it's ridiculous. Like, my God, perspective is key. This one is sad, in my opinion. My high school girl I worked with the previous months had a collection of logs. Michael Kors, Rolex watches, and most expensive makeup imaginable. She was immature but sweet and sympathetic, so she wasn't exactly rotten. I mentioned to the fellow manager that she was spoiled beyond belief, and she told me that the girl's mom has brain cancer and she can have whatever she pleases as long as she doesn't hurt anyone. I never forgave myself for thinking that she was so lucky. I still talk to her now and see how she's doing. Yeah. See, yeah, this is sad. See, some of these are like this. This is sad. Try again. My best friend in 8th grade literally thought the median income in America was $30,000. You're a fucking retard. Flush the toilet. My previous roommate's boyfriend was beyond spoiled and never lifted a finger. Up until 20, he lived so lavishly that he never flushed a toilet. He would do his business, get up and leave into the bathroom, and have someone flush it. He found out when he moved in with us that when I confronted him, he openly admitted he had never flushed a toilet. See, that's not his fault. His parents never taught him how. He never learned how. There's some of these rich kids where it's like, oh, they're so spoiled, they're so rotten. Their parents aren't teaching them anything. Okay? At some point, it's the parents' fault. I had a girl in high school who called me and asked how to put gas in a Range Rover. I guess her dad took it out one week and topped it off. Once we could topped it off. In 2 years of driving, she never had to stop for gas. On a road trip, I got the phone. Where does the gas go? It's another instance of the parents not teaching her anything. A girl on my floor in first university class was spoiled and utterly clueless. That her way of life wasn't normal things for people. She asked me once why I was making craft dinner instead of going out, or making myself something healthy like steak, salad, and she couldn't grasp the concept of not everyone's parents were wealthy enough to pay off a monthly credit card, or buy expensive cuts of steak and nice bottles of wine for dinner, like her parents did for her. Her parents were buying $500 a week in groceries for her easy, plus food, footing her tuition, residence, and spending money, clothing allowance, travel tickets, and anything else she needed and wanted. I would have said, fuck you, just don't fucking talk to me. Zoom. A student at the language school I worked at was told that her parents could have a new car if she passed both of her classes. She failed both. I saw her driving a new Maserati the next week. Her parents aren't teaching her anything. House on the hill. I have a friend who grew up with a water slide in his backyard that went downhill into the swimming pool. He also had a tennis court baseball court and batting cages built into his backyard. Okay, is your friend a bad person? Is your friend a spoiled rotten? It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like he lets you use his stuff. Be grateful, dude. Toilet and demand. I knew a girl in high school who would have her mom come and pick her up during school whenever she had to use the washroom because she could only do it at home. That's a phobia. Bam. One little brat kept throwing rocks and everyone told him to stop. He was probably fine. A little 2-year-old girl walked up to him with a sizable rock and clocked him right in the eye. She did what every adult on the playground wanted to do. I worked at Taco Bell in high school. At the time, we had kids' meals. A kid comes in with his parents, and apparently he had recently already had a toy. Okay, they just recopied that one. Loudmouth brat donating prized possession. I worked at a women's shelter. Christmas time rolls in, and a man and his sourpuss teenage son comes in the door. He says his son would like to donate some of these items to the kids, saying, "Oh great, this man and his son haul in expensive items. There was an Xbox, bunch of games, flat screen, iPod, cool headset, etc." Turns out the kid ran his mouth, and the dad made him give everything. The Christmas was pretty cool for the gang that year. Well, I have a feeling his mom made his dad pay big time after that. Consequences for literally monkeying around. I went on a bushwalk in Singapore, and it was pretty clear signs around not to feed the monkeys and that they were aggressive. Anyway, there were these two boys around the age of 8 swinging and throwing sticks and rocks at the little monkey in the tree. The dad was standing there laughing, allowing this to go on. I was about to say something when one of the kids ripped open a bag of Skittles and started throwing at them. The monkey immediately ran down with a bunch and sat to Skittles. The same moment, the other 3 monkeys came out of nowhere and echoed the sway of monkey dances and swarmed the kids, making them and their dad run away for dear life. A violent toy hog. I guess the situation is epic to me because it seems like spoiled kids always win. I took my kid to a children's museum where when there were toddlers, there was a specific area for the toddlers in the whole grocery store setup, which is life. There was 8 or 9-year-old kid in the toddler area being a pain. He kept taking all the kids' toys, hoarding all the shopping carts, and he would hand out a few pieces of food to the kids, but mainly wouldn't let them touch or play with anything else. Now, normally, I would let my own kid deal with it. He doesn't take gruff from anybody, but it was starting to get into it when I normally would start got my son nerves, and then the older kid hit my son. Done. I went over, got up in the kid's face, and said, "No, we don't hit. Get out." Instant tears, dropped all the toys, and left the area. His mom caught the tail end of the scene and tore him a new one. "What's wrong with you?" I turn around for 2 minutes, and then some of the other parents has to come in and tell you to behave. Unfortunately, too little too late for that one. Chastising a misogynistic kid. One of my first days of a 2-week vacation, I saw my spoiled 10-year-old cousin tell his mother and his older female cousin, his aunt and grandmother, that he wasn't going to clear his place or rinse his dishes because that's women's work. For the rest of the 2-week vacation, nobody lifted a finger to clean the plate or whisk the dishes or wash the pots up because it was his job. At their time, there was over a dozen of us there. And then I guess he could just, it's not even, he's 10. He could say, "Go fuck yourself," and then just walk away and say, "I'm not fucking doing it. I guess you guys aren't going to have any more dishes." Payback of Via Porcupine. That's a hedgehog. It's a cute hedgehog. Payback to a porcupine. A Boy Scout camp out in Utah. When a Boy Scouts were pretty much run by the Mormon church, a porcupine walked to their camp, and the spoiled pitch had got a stick and chased him up a tree. We told him to stop. He wouldn't listen. The scout leaders off were doing God knows what at the time. So the porcupine is still up in the tree. Now the spoiled weenie wants to shoot candy at it with his wrist rocket. He can't clear shot, so he climbs up the tree and sits on the branch under the porcupine, shoots the candy in the porcupine, and hits porcupine hard. It was right when he learned that when a tree porcupine, it just lets go and falls on its back. The big porcupine fell right off the spoiled kid's shoulder, bounced off, and hit his thigh and landed on the ground. It waddled away, and we just laughed at the howling spoiled kid. Whoa, I don't want to hear when his parents sue you. Crack that. I worked in an Apple store as a genius kid, 13 years to /15 years old, comes in with an iPhone X and tells me that his parents want a new phone now. I ask him, what's wrong? It says that every time he plays Fortnite or PUBG Mobile on his phone, Fortnite or Minecraft on his phone gets hot, explaining to him that's expected behavior for graphic intensive games. Explaining that I play PUBG Mobile on my phone and he screams, I want a new fucking phone now, and slams the phone on the chamber, which shatters the display. The phone drops to the floor, which stone shatters the back. He looks at me and blames him for making. I tell him now the phone is broken and that it will be $549 to replace it, and since it's now broken to the point, his mom comes and sees the phone and asks what happened. Her son started to say that I did it. She looks at me and says what happens. I tell her. She laughs and tells her son to get the hell out and will be without a phone until he can pay for it himself. That's funny. Sharp-witted security guard. I used to work as a security guard at a hospital. My booth was right next to the vending machine with the candy that would agitate the heck out of kids. Kids have no finesse, and the kids crying for candy are really annoying. So at the time, I would hear the parents had decided to say no. The kid kept crying, so I'd walk in a timid all black security uniform with a radio and a huge keychains and inform the kid that the vending machines are actually out of order, and every single time it shut them up for good. I believe I was a good security guard. You are a good security guard. You know, I actually am thinking of, if I actually do really need to get a job, I think I'm going to go get a job as a security guard. Giving the kids toys to abused employees. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. For 1 year. Spoiled little kid keeps getting mad because he can't win many tickets from the game. The kid begins to kick and scream and toss stuff around, etc. I think he tried to hit one of the animatronics. When someone tried to stop him, people, do you know who my dad is? Do you know what he can do to you? Nigga, unless your fucking dad is a fucking mobster, I ain't too fucking scared. We just shook our head and didn't know what to say. Rich, tell me what I can do. We see this guy in a business suit just standing there, really angry face. Comes up, dapper ass suit, and says, what the fuck you think I'm gonna do to these people, huh? Oh, if he beat him right there, I would have been like, yes, some more. No one thinks I'm funny. Tell me what I can do. We see the guy in the business suit standing there with a really angry look on his face. It was the kind of face that we look and wonder if the man ever smiled. The kid froze up and muttered something. The man apologized and walked away. He came back a few hours later and gave all the employees gifts. I got an Xbox 360, one of the first generation ones. I still have it with me. If anyone wants a picture, he just gave me the console. No wires, no controllers, no anything. Cool. Sassy snapback from Catholic school. This one was told to me by my parents when I was young, too young to remember it at the time. The neighborhood bus stop for the high school was on the corner of our house, and sometimes when it was raining, the kids would be right next door at the house corner. We didn't bother our parent. They had kids, and they didn't want somebody else's kids standing in the rain. What bothered them was they realized the kids were passing time by ripping up all the flowers around the house. And they called the kids would go to the complaint and had a nice chant. The principal that Saturday, all the kids who used to stop showed up and replanted the flowers which their parents paid for. When the flowers were replanted, they got to spend a few hours helping with yard work. Then the school moved the bus stop to the main road on the edge of the neighborhood. That meant that the kids would have to walk 2 more blocks every day. For most of them, was waiting in the field with no shelter in bad weather. Surrendered spoiled cat. Just today, my neighbor brought their son a 6-speed Mustang. Now he knows how to drive stick good, but told his parents last week that he wanted another car that was an automatic. Today, driving through town, I saw the Mustang for sale on their corner, and someone is going to get a deal. They bought him a used Crown Victoria from the sheriff's department. Today, they made the switch. Idiot kid thought he was going to get him a different Mustang. Haha. Hilarious, crappy family dinner. When I was 12, my dad once dated a nice lady, the bratty 9-year-old, who would talk back and refuse to do chores, which would be then passed on to me. One day at dinner, the table everyone was eating goes, "Listen." Rips a tiny fart. The mom's embarrassed and asks him to stop and go to the bathroom instead. He grins and leaves and rips another one and accidentally slows himself at dinner. His expression of horror was the best thing I've ever seen. I dad laughing as he ran, clutching the seat of his pants. Anyway, a wave from the table. Oh no, I pooped. Fighting thievery with fire. Oh my god, don't light kids on fire. Honey Sesame chicken breast? Ugh. Panda Express is disgusting. I guess my mom would like it. I don't know. It's the kind of thing my mom would eat. When I was 11, there was one kid in the neighborhood who was never disciplined, and as a result, he loved to steal food. My best friend in the neighborhood was Latina, and as such grew up with spicy food and would walk around stacking on flaming hot Cheetos, which I gingerly tried them and got used to them after a while. So soon I was walking around with my own bag. The spoiled kid decided he wanted to grab the bag from me, which I didn't fight him this time. I had a plan and walked over to his house to instigate. He had one single Cheeto and started crying right away and ran to his mom. He didn't steal my food after that. Putting a plane passenger in their place. I was on a flight to Washington Dulles in Heathrow. Okay, the Heathrow airport. Okay. When the 6 to 8-year-old kid behind me was screaming the whole overnight flight. Once the plane is on, food or toys or whatever, the mom was like, "Shush, honey, no, shh, honey, shh, sweetheart," type. Finally, the mom had to get up and use the restroom. The kid started wailing. The guy next to me leaned over the seat, turned around and said, "Hey kid, shut up!" The whole plane did a clap and enjoyed the 5 minutes of dead silence until the mom came back. I would have done it right in front of the mom. "Hey kid, shut up!" One summer I was a babysitter with a few other kids, including a girl about my age. She was a spoiled pain in the butt and would constantly whine and cry when she didn't get what she wanted. She also liked to instigate fights with other kids for totally trivial reasons. We got into it one day. I can't remember what it was about. She went to go sit on the porch. She tripped and landed in a bed of cacti. She got to spend the afternoon crying and getting cacti needles pulling out by the babysitter. Maybe she's stunted or something. She sounds just like a bitch. Sapping an insincere apology. I've got a fun one. This one I handled myself. Frank. The beard is back. I waited tables at a breakfast diner a few years back. Two ladies came in tow with their kids, along with a chubby boy with golden chains and a nice watch. The kid was probably 10 or 11 for reference. My mom is clearly tired of dealing with him as he's very demanding. Blurts out that he wants before I could say hi. Partway through the meal, he holds up his Sprite and shakes it at me and utters more. The mom looked aghast and chastised him for being rude, which he begrudgingly apologized. I shrugged and told him, don't apologize to me, apologize to him. I was a little worried when I came back from Sprite and saw his salty, hot tears streaming down his chubby face. Mom left me a $10 bill. However, I think she was more happy than with my service. Yeah, you dealt with him and he probably won't be like that anymore. Ice cream for dinner. One kid would not stop screaming until his mom fed him ice cream for dinner. I came over once and that's literally what she served me. Oh well. Ice cream is ice cream. Booting out a disobedient bully. I worked at an outdoor camp instructor. One week, I was on logistics and had to drive a van to pick up this kid. I had heard from my friend that one of the kids in his group was annoying, back-chatting and lazy bully to other kids. When I got to the pickup point, the kid hopped in the van and my mate in front. My mate, Mitch, gave me the rundown of the kid. I started the van up and did a visual check, the seatbelts and everything, except for the kid. I asked, hey, he said no. I told him I can't leave until he puts it on. He did it and I started to leave. A minute down the road, I heard him unclip his seatbelt again. So I had stopped the van and asked him again, put it back on. This happened more than once. I pulled over the van, turned off the van, radioed base to ask if the manager and the overseeing teacher of the team would come and pick up the kid because he was a danger in the van. The kid started pleading and begging. I told him no. I already had made the call. He got sent home in my mate Mitch and had one of the best weekends after this kid left. And then later you all got fired for after the parents starting the show. See, EPs. These are EP stories mostly. EPs and EDs and all these types. When I was at the Vancouver Aquarium with a school field trip for my kid and a few other families, one of the families thought the you-know-what didn't stink and would do everything to push their way to the front, not pay for anything, etc. The kid had Heelys. The park was pretty busy. The brat would run into people and just skate away without a word. We were sitting and waiting for the Belugas show to start, and the kid comes buzzing from stage left. Stupid Heelys hit a patch of water and went flying on a... He lay flat on his back at a giant pile in front of it. Everyone started to laugh. It was glorious. Yeah. Lawsuit. Generously angry grandparents. I was at the park with my brother, wife, and their daughter and niece, and oversaw this exchange. A young kid, probably around 5 to 7, being obnoxious every 15 minutes or so. His grandparents, I assume, would gather his toys and bring them over to the bench and put him in timeout for a few minutes. He threw tantrums, but they would completely ignore him, and when he screamed and calmly asked him if he was finished, the timeout didn't start until he stopped crying. He would go back to playing and get all wound up and ended up timeout again. This happened 3 or 4 times in an hour-ish. We were at the park. Finally, he made a little girl cry by taunting her that she didn't have a certain toy and he did. It was a Minecraft thing. The grandparents' family walked over, took the toy, and gave it to the little girl,
and they left the park. The boy lost his absolute mind as they were leaving. Ooh. Silencing disrespectful private school parks. I went to see a local high school play in Nazi Germany. There were two teen rich girls with their fancy handbags sat in front of me. They spent the whole time talking quite loudly about how the actors were so bad, and at one point said, This is why I go to private school, so I don't have to sit through this all day." I was in a mission. Everybody was applauding. The guy sitting next to them leaned forward and told them, "If you shut up, you might learn something." The the look on their face was priceless. We didn't hear a peep out of them the rest of the play. A brutal blast of air freshener. I was at a family event for my girlfriend at the time, and one of my cousin's kids was just running around making ruckus in spite of many times his parents telling him to settle the fuck down. Eventually, he took interest in a motion-activated air freshener on the counter. It had been turned off because it would be spraying nonstop with people walking around. So this 6-year-old was standing on his tippy toes, ignoring constant warnings, "Don't touch that, please," and reaching over, pushing buttons, and eventually it happened. He flips the switch, and 3 seconds later he gets a direct blast of Glad to the face. Rowdy brat on the bus. Um, I was on the bus a year or two back, and the kid and his mom were seated in front of me. The kid kept screeching about how I wanted to press the button to notify the bus driver that you need to get off at the next stop, because he liked to beep at me. Every single bus stop, this little kid screech asked if you would press it. Finally, the mom said he could press the button. He pressed it, and it only beeped for the first person who pressed it. The little kid cried. Okay. The bested by a monkey. Monkey Forest Bali. An obnoxious kid poked a monkey with a stick, and the monkey takes it for a bit, and the kid keeps poking, and suddenly the monkey snaps and goes for the kid, but the kid has these baggy trousers on and tries to run away. The monkey grabs a hold of the trousers and somehow pulls them down to his ankles. I swear, there was a collective smirk on the crowd of onlookers. Swimming in tears. One time I was going to my family's gym. I had gotten my card, but my dad was there all the time teaching swimming to the swimming or working out. Help desk recognized me. I thought they would recognize my dad, so I asked, who my dad is. He said the guy kind of cut me off and made fun of me for saying until I left humiliated. I didn't return to the gym for a few months. It sounds like the dude behind the counter. I would have been like, you know who my dad is, right? He works here, and I'm here to help him. Maybe if you were an asshole for, 5 minutes of your life, you would realize I was trying to say, I'm here to help my dad. I'm here to be with my dad. You don't need to be an asshole and make fun of me just because I said, do you know who my dad is? He's here to help the disabled people, and I'm here to help them too. I was just coming to swim first before he got here. So I don't, get cramps and shit, but okay, asshole. See, this one pisses me off because just because that dude's an asshole. The kid and mom were talking about walking out of the shop. He didn't wanna help her with shopping. Just rolled on his heelys, rolled right into a stationary cart, and then got a clip around the ear from his mom. Taking it to the schoolyard. My neighbor down the street and his little brother were two of the most spoiled kids I'd ever met. Their mother was just horrible. For context, the younger brother's first word was a swear. I wish I were lying. I really do. One of the younger brother was having a vicious temper tantrum while I was overplaying sometimes with the older sibling unprovoked. He threw a pair of scissors and hit my elbow. I had to go to the hospital for stitches. My mother just yelled at him with an His brother, and which I felt like wasn't sufficient enough. The next day, I went back, left arm in a sling, beat him up playground style. Good job. T- taking it to the school, taking it to the schoolyard. Oh, okay. This kid from middle school was incredibly spoiled and wanted a Game Gear for Christmas. His parents surprised him with in class with the last year before Christmas break. Gave him a speech in front of the whole class. It was ridiculous. He didn't get the game that he wanted. He left in the middle of his mom's speech and went to the bathroom and threw it in the toilet. And came back and yelled at his parents in front of everyone and told them that he hated it and cried the rest of the day. He didn't. He got back from Christmas break and we were all telling each other his parents didn't give him anything. His brother and sisters got tons of gifts, and they didn't give him squat. He didn't get anything for Christmas, his birthday next 2 months, for Easter and the following Christmas. We did pizza every Friday. He was forbidden from eating pizza. He never got snacks in his lunch. He was grounded. He never got to go to anyone's birthday. His peaches were under strict orders to keep him from kids from giving him his cookies and kinds of snacks. For the first few months after Christmas, he wasn't allowed to play at recess. The dude's life was on lockdown. We all felt really bad for him. We were 12, so we didn't say anything. Actually, at a point, it's abuse. It really is abuse. He got mad and he made a mistake. He got mad. Okay, kids get mad. You can't punish them for getting mad. Okay, but whatever. You tell him. There were 3 boys who were a few years younger than my son, kept trying to wrestle with him every day at recess. So I tried telling my son just to walk away. So one day I told him to fight back. The kids tried to wrestle him. My son throws one of them to the ground. The victim's parents call me and tell me this. I told him that I didn't care and that their son wanted to wrestle with my kid, and then my kids weren't allowed to fight back if he is older and bigger. Nuh-uh, nigga. Nuh-uh. When I was 5 years old, my parents took my brother and me to a local park to watch the fireworks for Canada Day, where we were, there were a lot of families there, and tons of the kids were playing on the playground and having fun with sparklers. There was one brat who kept shoving everyone around on the ground, stealing their sparklers and putting them out. The playground had all these pebbles on the ground, and at one point he pelted a bunch of them at me. All all this was happening in front of their mother, who was totally oblivious. When the fireworks started, I was sitting near him, and he was munching on those middle cereal boxes, Rice Krispies. When he wasn't looking, I put a bunch of pebbles in the box, and I watched him grab the next handful and chomp down with a mouthful of rocks. He immediately started crying, and I disappeared into the shadows. I'm Batman. Neil Armstrong's grandson. Neil Armstrong's grandson, nephew or grandson, whatever, was attending a space camp the week I was there. There were many rumors of him being spoiled rotten, and I confirmed that it was true. Every day, he was at risk of getting kicked out. The last day of camp, Neil actually spoke to the huge crowd of space. Minutes before his speeches, got kicked out publicly in front of everyone, and the cat for crap screaming in his class that no one is worthy enough of listening to his grandfather speak. Neil must have been so embarrassed. Oh, I feel so bad for you. Better than you after all. When I was 12, I won a free pizza party for all my friends for being a reading superstar because I was very, very awkward kid. I probably wore my reading superstar, but now a mean girl and her mean friends pushed me into the locker, knocked off my glasses, and took my button. I distinctly remember the horror of the girl calling me nerd baby, the horrible girl calling me nerd baby, who thought I was better than everyone. I never spoke to this person before. I don't think I've ever spoken to her since. Even though I went to a small school, I did learn from Facebook review that her grandchild got taken by CPS, and we are now in our 30s. So yes, I do think I'm better than you, you trash. Yeah, it was all good until you said this. Um, Puppy play. My youngest cousin was spoiled. He refused to share his toys and steal them from everyone. He decided that our puppy's toys were his and put them all together.
Well, the puppy knows his toys, and since they were combined, the brat sees all the others as too. Now, every time the brat takes a toy from the puppy steals another toy from the kid, and the kid can't keep up. Aw, cute puppy. Shut him up. The other day, at the swimming pool, a kid was pestering his father because he didn't want to leave. The kid made such a fuss in the manager that did stop. One more word out of your mouth and I'm selling your PlayStation. The kid shut up and I had been pestering my dad when I was his age. I'd got ripped. I'd get ripped upside the head. Waffles. When I was 10, maybe 12 years old, my sister snatched last sushi off my plate and ran out back to eat it, laughing hysterically. While running, she accidentally slipped in a pile of fresh steaming dog poop and fell on her face. Mwah-ah-ah-ah-ah. Do you know who I am? Before I retired, I worked at a paper mill office. One of the rules of the mill is that no dangling earrings because of all the moving equipment, the roller dryers, and etc. Many kids of the employees were hired as summer vacation relief. One of the girls whose father worked as on the carpet row in the main office came wearing dangling earrings. She was told to remove them and looked at her supervisor and said, "Maybe you don't know who I am." She was immediately fired. Busted. The school bully, spoiled rich kid with a reasonably high regard in the small town. After years of dealing with his nonsense, even the school council thought he could do no wrong. Well, our senior year in high school, he got caught with illegal substances on school grounds and was expelled. And then his parents sued the school. It's the devil. I was shopping at Target around the time the last Twilight movie came out. In walks an exhausted dad with his preteen daughter. His daughter grabs the basket and starts grabbing things while the daughter scooches over. You said we were going to see Twilight, Dad. This doesn't look like Twilight. On repeat. The dad snapped, flight, flinging his basket around and kneels back and like, Twilight is the devil and so are you! We're not seeing the movie anymore! He picked up his basket and went on his merry way, the girl silent. It took 3 crashes. The girl I worked for was 18, rich, and always got everything she wanted. She had 3 cars wrecked in a year. Her dad replaced it every time with a new one. Always bragged about closing cars. One day, her dad got fed up and cut her off completely. She lost her car, got kicked out and everything. The following day, she was Ubering to work. I passed her in my brand new Jeep I saved 6 months for and flashed the biggest smile. And then she goes and tells her mommy, and the mommy says to daddy, "Excuse me, you did what to our daughter?" And that's how rich that's how rich families are. The mother rules the roost. It's quite sad. When I was a kid, Hurricane Hugo hit our tract development in Charlotte. We lost power, except for Jason across the street. He was a year younger than us, 3rd grade. He was bragging, "Maybe you can come over and play my Nintendo." Nah, we got our powers back. His went out. As a result, they didn't get it back for a week. "Jason, you can play my Nintendo." "You can't play my Nintendo. Go play yours." Smart ass. Not Moms could be spoiled too, not the kid, the arrogant mom. She left her little brat to run wild in Marks and Spencer's. Marks and Spencer's? What's Marks and Spencer's? Ooh! Zach Allen said a highlight. Oh, okay. Oh,
Okay. Oh, it's a women's clothing store. Wait, do they have food? They have food! Picked up a large expensive cake. Oh, okay. Marks and Spencer's. He had picked up a large dropped it on the floor and stomped up. The manager came over and told her that she would have to pay for it. And she said, go fuck yourself. Because that's how spoiled mommies are. You know what? I think I'll change this to. There we go. When I turned 16, all I wanted for my birthday was to go see the Blue Man Group perform. I saved up my money and paid for my own tickets. I gave my mom the money, and I was really excited because my mom said she would get the tickets and everything. My mom and sister and I all got in the car to go see the show. We arrived at the wrong place and immediately thought something was wrong. When I asked my mom why we were here, my sister said, oh, we're Cirque du Soleil. So she bought the tickets for that instead. I was blown away that even though it was my birthday and my money, my sister had final say over what we ended up doing. I refused to see the show and opted to walk to the casino the entire walk and through the casino the entire time. And that's when you tell your mom, you know what? You will pay me back every cent. And if you do not pay me back every cent, when I get older, I'm taking you to small claims court. When my fat cousin Dudley fell into the python enclosure, my fat cousin Dudley fell into the python enclosure. Might have been. That's kind of mean. I worked with a really annoying kid in high school who was a childhood fortune of the ship owner. The kid was a total backdown and constantly fondled his fun and he did something to his mother, I forget what, and his father found out about it on his 18th birthday. The father surprised him with a brand new outfit, or so he thought. Inside the truck, the sign that said the kid was an asshole for doing what he did to his mother, and he definitely didn't just happen in front of all of his friends at his birthday party. He definitely ruined his birthday. You think that kid gives a shit? No. He got his fucking Ford Cobra. He doesn't give a shit. Whatever the fuck he did to his mother, he was a douchebag, but, you know. We're gonna look it up. We're gonna look up canned foods first. We're gonna look up canned foods first. And then what we'll do after that is we'll look up other stuff that you guys want to look up. I will be right back. Three hardest things to say. I'm sorry, I need help, and Worcestershire sauce. Well, that third one is pretty hard to say.
If you've all never had spam, I cannot suggest it more. But how you cook it is really your choice. A good recipe is not spam cake. Don't do the Hawaiian spam cake. Not. It's an acquired taste. Okay, I don't like it. Not a lot of people like it. It's just don't make it if you don't like it. But a good way to make spam is just fry it. You know, I've been wanting to try this, the ground beef in a can one of these days, but I just haven't really gotten around to it. Can I put more than just? Is there any way to put more than just one on a page? Put more than just this much on a page? No. No? There's not? Okay. See, I love this stuff. This stuff's delicious. Meatloaf and gravy with mashed potatoes. I actually might have my mom get some of that next time she goes out. Or whatever. Has like, there's like macaroni and cheese. There's like macaroni and cheese. Beef and pot roast is one of the best. Beef tips. Oh my god, they're just so delicious. Oh, actually, we do get these, and these are actually quite good. I could not suggest these more. Go to the store and buy them. Don't pay $21 for them. Now, I remember these were so special when I was a kid. I remember I loved these when I was a kid. Hell, actually, what the fuck? Ooh. I'd still eat it. There's canned corn. There's actually. I'm gonna see if my mom can find this around here. Don't get Annie's canned pasta cheese ravioli because it doesn't taste good. I mean, you might like it, but I don't. The home rolled chicken breast with rib meat and mashed potatoes is actually quite good. Um, see, I don't do much shopping on here because it's so expensive. My neighbor Maria loves Vienna sausages. They're tasty. She says they're tasty. I don't like them. They actually make me nauseous. Um, the the Dinty Moore beef stew is actually quite good. Ooh, a more hash is delicious. And egg on top of that, and reset for that's good dinner right there. Don't worry, guys. One of these days I'll get a pig skin. I just can't afford it right now. Okay? Guess what? I like coffee. Richard! Richard! Calm down, Richard! Whoa, there! Whoa! Aaron Carter, you're pushing your luck. You think you're gonna get famous and shit from stuff like that? You're not. Okay, no one likes you. It's not even mean. It's the truth. Dude, you've pissed off everyone. I want to read this. Father hides device in daughter's hair to catch teacher bullying children. Every parent knows the every parent knows how challenging kindergarten can be for a child. It's a big adjustment for them to make sometimes. It can be difficult to tell that they're really doing well. However, when Father Thomas Valero notices that his daughter is crying after school every day and protests having to go to class, he realizes something was wrong because she wouldn't tell him he was what was making her sick. He decided to take measures into his own hands and do something about it. What he found after investigation shocked him to the core. Everyone knows that starting school can be tough and difficult for most children. It's a huge adjustment without the correct support system. A child can really tough and difficult support. It's a difficult time for most children, and huge adjustment to make without the correct support system. A child can really struggle. Well, that may be difficult enough as is. Having a rude teacher really makes the process much more difficult. When Thomas Vallejo noticed that his daughter was getting emotional every time she had to go to school or return from class, he decided to do some investigating. Tom realized that his daughter was becoming more and more emotional after starting the new school. At first, he was chucked it up to nerves, but Tom realized that there was something happening and he needed to get to the root of the problem, like a good dad. As the days turned into months, it had become apparent that all the joy and excitement he knew his daughter had left her. Tom had spoken to her about the issues many times, and it was clear that something was bad, and his daughter would get worse. The school. Tom's daughter had just enrolled in Pine Grove Elementary School, where she was starting kindergarten. However, soon after starting at the school, her attitude changed and she started becoming more and more emotional. Tom was certain that it was something to do with the school she was in. Good student. Up until this point, that must be her mom. Up until this point, Tom's daughter had been a good student. Her grades were good, and reports that she got from her teacher were often positive. She started to change when she got a new teacher. Thomas knew that there was a connection. A concerned father. Any parent would be worried about their child's well-being, especially if they're consistently sad all the time. Thomas figured that she was being bullied. Their home life was pretty stable, and I knew it was her mother, and happy. Ooh, she looks like she doesn't eat. He looks like, she looks like she eats, but all the fat goes to him. Not making fun of his weight, but that's just how some of it works. Tom figured out that she was being bullied and her home life was pretty stable, and he realized it had to be an external issue. Importance of patience. In life, it's incredibly important to practice patience. Oh, cute. Well, anyone who has spent any time with children at all knows that they can be a challenge to handle. Stepping into the role means that you have to learn patience. Thomas's daughter, fuck off. Thomas's daughter was still in her developing years. The things that happened to us during these years still often shape us as the people we grow up into later in life. Impatient teachers can have a negative effect on child for the rest of their lives. Being resourceful, decided he needed to find out exactly what happened to his daughter on a daily basis. As a father, he couldn't just sit back. He works for law enforcement, so he has the tools. As a father, he couldn't just sit. His poor child becomes sadder with every passing day. He decided that listening in would be a good idea. A hidden device. When we say listen, we mean that Thomas had decided to plant a small hearing device in his daughter's hair bun. Good. When he realized this was a bit drastic, he realized that this was a bit drastic. He wanted to get to the bottom of what was happening in class and have proof at the same time. Thomas was eager to get a result back from his daughter's day at school. He was astounded at what he heard. It seemed that through his daughter's teacher was being unnecessarily mean to her students. Thomas listened closely to the recording and realized the teacher was the source of the problem, the terrifying teacher. It was clear that the teacher was taking advantage of her power. It's not exactly what the teacher was saying that was offensive. It was the tone in which she was saying it. She would be heard screaming at children over the smallest thing, rising a complaint. Feeling dissatisfied, Thomas figured that it would be best for him to take the issue to the school district. Rather than address the teacher directly, Tom figured he would go to the school board of the entire state and it was a poor response. Despite having a perfectly valid reason to complain, Tom found little help from the school district. While they did state that they had discipline for her actions, Thomas wanted more. He didn't think ruining her children's he couldn't think of her ruining her child's life. Tom was happy with the response he had gotten wasn't happy with the response he has gotten from the school. Well, the school had offered to let his daughter move to another teacher. Thomas was worried that all the other children worried about all the other children. He rallied his friends and they took to the streets in protest. As a father, Thomas needed to stand up for his daughter. The longer Duncan was a kindergarten teacher, the more children her anger would affect. Despite his and other parents' protests, it seemed though the change they wanted was not coming. Starting a petition. Pretty soon, the world had word of what happened to Thomas's daughter. All the other kids in class had spread. After creating a petition on the website, the general public decided to rally. They soon had over 2,000 signatures calling for Duncan's dismissal. Thomas found himself being swept up by a media frenzy. Pretty soon, his story was swept across the nation. This meant that even if he could not have Duncan removed from class, people would know what she was doing and that she was wrong. The problem with this kind of treatment can have a lasting effect on the child for the rest of their life. If Thomas did not notice that his daughter was changing attitude, he would have never had realized how serious the issue was. Any parent knows being a good mentor is a challenge. It often means that you have to criticize and scrutinize your own actions. Thomas had learned that even though he had tried his best to be a good mentor, that there are some things that are out of his hands. The responsibility of a teacher. The teacher's responsibility goes much further than simply teaching children. The curriculum. They hold their minds and imaginations in their hand. Using abusive language and asserting control through fear only stifles the child's progress. Knowing this, Thomas tried to fix the situation, but did it work? Hoping for change. While Duncan is still teaching at the school, the truth is that he has accepted that she is being way too harsh towards her class and children. Thomas learned that taking action was the only way to get the change he wanted, a stronger family. While the ordeal had been tough for Thomas and his daughter, Thomas does admit that ultimately it has made them stronger together as a family. At the moment, his daughter is learning under a different teacher. He will be a better father as a result of it. A big good boy right there. A little girl's life is changed forever because of a deaf dog. When we all know how amazing therapy dogs can be in helping people with difficulties and stressful situations. There are therapy dogs for just about any situation imaginable, from seizures to hyperactive disorder. One kind of therapy dog is there to help children feel safe while testifying in a courtroom. Testifying can be such a scary thing, especially for a small child. So the dog is there to comfort them and help them feel safe. Carl is one of these dogs. He changed the little girl's life forever. Cute. Um, Published on Court Doc. Adult matters can be frightening for children. When it comes to testifying in court, even adults are it. So imagine how scary it must be for a small child. One girl had to take the stand in court when a man wronged her. Frozen. Frozen. As soon as she saw the man who wronged her, the little girl froze. Her testimony was critical in the trial, but no one could blame her for being afraid. This is where Carl comes into the story. The little girl is signed to the dog. Aww. In comes Carl. I don't like boxers, but this one's an extra good boy. I fucking love dogs. A therapy dog. Carl isn't your average dog. He is, in fact, a 5-year-old, 65-pound white boxer. Isn't a police dog, but he's a hero nonetheless. He is a specialized canine circuit who is part of a program named Companions for Courage that allows him to appear in court and support children on the stand. I know some adults who could use that. Canine Circuit Program. These special dogs provide a sense of calm and protection while these children are testifying in court. Surrounding us begin to recognize the need for trauma-sensitive courts. These circuits This circuit is the first in Florida to combine pet therapy and certifies ADA dogs to aid children testifying in a courtroom. Carl, as a therapy dog, had one thing different to differentiate him from the rest of the unit and gave him an advantage. But before getting into that, we meet Carl. We meet some of Carl's fuzzy friends who also help children in court and love getting all the pets. Oh my god. Oh, they're so scruffy. No, she's not fucking skinny. No one gives a fuck about Honey Boo Boo. She's supposed to be gone. Bella. Oh my god, that's a Toby. Holy shit. You better be lucky she doesn't bite the criminals' faces off. Dobermans don't like criminals. Here we have Bella. She's a very sweet Doberman pinscher. She is loyal and calm and loves giving and getting attention. She was born February 2011 and adores everyone who gets to meet her. Aw, cute. Boomer. Next, we got Boomer. He's a Sheltie Poodle mix? Ooh, that's a lot of expensive in there. Poodle mix. And he was a therapy dog for many years before joining the program. He's a hardworking member of the team. He even assists in adult education classes that provide information when people are interested in qualifying their dogs for therapy work and volunteers. Wait, what? Teenager noticed a girl with dad acting strangely. Oh, I will be reading that. Daisy May. What else do you name a dog like this? If I get a dog like this, I'm gonna name her either Daisy May or Fluffy. I will name her Fluffy. More than likely name him or her Fluffy. Daisy May was registered as a therapy dog in 2011. She is a pedigree Pomeranian and is an active member of a pet therapy team at Arnold Palmer Hospital and numerous children's hospitals in Orlando. She does visiting patients in both facilities and helps them feel better. She's even received the title as an advanced therapy dog from the American Kennel Club. It means that she's done over 100 pet therapy visits. Oh, wow. Wow, that's an achievement for a dog. Even if you can't speak or recognize that. Ooh, she's an American Akita. American Akitas are a little bit bigger than Japanese Akitas. Like, okay, a lot of it bigger. But I like Akitas, they're cute. Kenna had some tough times when she was a puppy. However, she persevered and now is a gentle giant and who loves everyone. he and his favorite thing in the world is belly rubs. That's cute. Telly, short for Matilda. Tilly's full name means mighty in battle. Nice. Um, Her name is so fitting because when she was a puppy, she was abandoned and got sick as a result. However, she was rescued and nursed back to health. Now she acts as a hero herself and shares bravery with others. Essie. Essie was born in 2012 and is a mixed breed who was rescued. She loves everyone she meets, especially while doing her work as a therapy dog. Her favorite thing is to help her community through companions for courage. Ah, okay, yeah. She's she's straight up just a companion for courage dog. I myself am getting a companion dog where I can just bring anywhere. So if I yeah, Maverick is a golden doodle. That means she's a Labrador. Gold. I think they're called like gold doodles or something. Who was born in 2014. He loves to run around and play. His job is certified therapy dog. He goes and visits schools and nursing homes to get all the hugs and pets he can. Cute. No. Jackson, a golden retriever and black lab mix. Oh wow. Yeah, because black is a prominent color, so she wouldn't. So she would eat. So he either would be. He would have a mix of gold, of light and black hair, or he would just have full black hair, black fur. Jackson was born in 2008 and loves to swim and play fetch. He is a reading educational assistant dog. The dog, dog, and he works with children in the reading program. Reading in the car and going to the beach is some of his favorite things. Cute. No, quit fucking showing me. Susan Boyle's so skinny now. No, no one cares. Little girl. Emma. Emma was a born therapy dog in a box, despite the fact that she's a special needs dog herself. She doesn't let that get in her way. She had her first job as a therapy dog when she was 4 months old and was assigned to fulfill a hospice patient's last request. The the patients wanted a dog to lay in her arms and give him sweet puppy kisses. Emma happily did a perfect job and since she was going to be giving love and company to all who need it. So she is a yep. Okay. No. Sophia. Sweet, gentle boxer. Sophia is a rescue. Was a rescue. She has been a therapy dog ever since. She adores her job, visiting children and seniors alike. Her favorite thing is getting a nice hug and having lots of friends to play with. Blizzard. Don't ever name your cat Blizzard. That's mean. Blizzard is a therapy cat who is the first one to join the Companions of Courage. She was brought in by her owner when she was 7 years old, when they realized they wouldn't be able to take care of her in fall of 2004. The Animal League took her in and made her a home in the cat college. Cat cottage. After she was adopted, she began working at local schools as part of a humane education program. She is also registered as a therapy cat at Pet Partners. Okay. Some of these dogs are high level. English setter, expensive dogs, with a mischievous but loving personality. He was found in 2011 on an airplane tarmac in Tennessee with an Douglas air setter. After he was soon rescued, he became a therapy dog and always gets excited when he sees his friends since he knows he's going to visit someone. He loves cuddles and to swim, play games, and hide the other dog's toys. Little douchebag. Okay.
Oh, he's a sad boy. DuPont. Actually, that's a good name for a dog. But my Doberman Pinscher will be named King.
DuPont, a Labrador Retriever mix and former service dog. DuPont spent a few years working with a deaf person. Now he's a therapy dog that loves petting and visiting people. He adores going to the courts and helping comfort children when they are testifying. See, this should be for both adults and children. Okay, not just children. There! Darwin. Darwin was a 2013 Darwin was found in Ohio taken to the local rescue stop, new home ever since. Since then, he has had a surveillance issue and syndrome about busy, but thankfully he's doing well and he loves kids and everyone in between. Cute. Little girl. Oh, Josie. Josie is a rescue and became a therapy dog. Later that summer. She's an Australian Shepherd Lab mix. Cute. Together with her owner, she has logged over 2,000 hours of therapy, and Josie Therapy Dog of the Year in 2011. She's sweet, calm, and knows how to act when visiting children or the elderly. Cute. Um, Farley. Cute. Farley was a rescue. He was a skinny little 6-month-old puppy. Right away, it was clear he's a special dog. He's a loving personality and has never met anyone he didn't like. Now, let's get back to Carl and see how he helped this little girl in court. Useful, independent. Carl is in fact deaf. He was born that way due to this fact. The breeder almost put him down as he had no use for him, but Jenny Hart Rittenhouse was called into the rescue. Amazingly enough, now his deafness is his greatest asset to Carl. It saves him from having to train in order to react to sounds in the courtroom. There are a lot of sounds that can distract the dog in the courtroom that he needs to learn to ignore, like banging gavels, sobs, general buzz. However, due to his deafness, Carl is unaware of those noises around him, making him able to focus. Well, just as any deaf person or any deaf creature would, you could literally teach a lion to do the same thing. You could literally teach a deaf cat to do the same. Or a cat. Laid back boy. Due to his calm demeanor, Carl has very popular with kids. His size has also made them feel safe and protected. As big as he is, the Canine Circuit Program Manager by the name of Lauren Berger compared Carl to a biker. As soon as the kids realize the biker is there for them, they want the biggest one that they can find, she said. Well, obviously you want the biggest biker there to stop the crazy maniac from killing him. In addition, Carl wore a blue cap when he went to court, which gave him the appearance of a more relatable, silly-looking, helping children feel calmer. There is one girl Carl helped the most. difficult communication. Training Carl was quite a challenge due to his deafness. Joanna already had 3 boxers who were therapy dogs before adopting Carl. With that, she had never trained a deaf dog. I think you would need to know at least minor sign language to be able to. She had never trained a deaf dog. A dog who cannot hear needs a different kind of training, as they cannot hear command set. This leads to a mean eye contact with a problematic with an excitable dog. Shouting is useless when they are running around and don't catch their attention. In order to train Carl, John Allen had to think of a creative way to figure it out. Getting past obstacles, Johanna successfully taught Carl to follow sign command. He was trained to communicate with American Sign Language, but with the help of the behaviorist Ben said, he learned 10 signs. He then learned 10 more, and now he's up to over 100 signs. It clearly showed how smart Carl is. Boxers are smart. It's just, I don't like boxers personally. They're too drooly and jumpy. I just don't like them very much. But Carl, I would pet Carl. All dogs get belly rubs and head pats. um, Joanna successfully taught. You tried to scramble the wrong egg, motherfucker. Oh, keep pumpers. Getting past obstacle. Okay, I read that. Okay, we're gonna be reading a lot. Um, Stop and smell the roses. White Carl is a special needs dog, and he has overcome his disability and enjoys his life as a therapy dog. He brings love and happiness to children, seniors, and everyone he comes into contact with. He is a perfect example of why people shouldn't shy away from dogs who are special needs. His inability to hear makes him a great companion, working to his advantage. He himself doesn't know he's special needs dog. When he's outside, he loves smelling flowers and looking at birds, reminding us how to slow down and now and then again, and as they say, stop and smell the roses. Roses. Um, my Aunt Jo used to have this huge rose vine on her fence. Like, it was big. It was a wild rose vine, and it's like, I've never seen a wild rose before. And it was actually quite pretty. I helped him out. Therapy Dog and the Canine Circuit are there to help make the sad things seem not so bad. They are there to help give the child honesty and courage to say what they mean and help them make the process a little easier. I would hope. I would hope so. Tough beginning. Unfortunately, there are things that should absolutely never happen to a child, but still do. Explaining the situation, Joanna said she knew the gentleman who had wronged her was was going to be in the courtroom, and she really had fear of going to the courtroom and telling him what for this reason Carl was there to help her feel safer. All the same, Carl began his job as a canine. There were some things he had to overcome first. Okay. Signs. There was no problem when Carl needed to communicate with kids. Most of the kids worked with did not know sign language. The kids needed to learn signals that Carl knew in order to be able to communicate to him. This task was not easy when kids are already under stress due to the situation they're in. So Joanna wanted to help Carl communicate with kids, which gave her an idea. Okay. He is a purebred boxer, so I mean, yeah. So as a solution, Joanna came up with a hand signal and taught it to Carl. This was the signal that would be easy for the kids to learn and enable them to communicate with Carl. Besides, this signal made the kids feel as if they were the secret code with Carl that only they could understand. Carl became more well known for his courtroom presence, and the Ninth Circuit Court of Florida becoming a hero that saved the day, especially with one little girl in particular. I like those kinds of places. So. Um, Not this, the abandoned places. Baffled. There, the the use the use of therapy and communication with animals in the criminal law cases is very encouraged, which I'm so glad that it is. Because when I was a kid, I could have needed it so many times just to tell the judge that my mom isn't a bad parent just because I have a mental breakdown. I love how people don't understand how it is to be mentally disabled, like me and so many others, that it gets ridiculous at a point where people just don't understand. I used to therapy as Assistant State Attorney Beth Crumler says. Even more, with younger victims who need someone to hold on to while testifying. There was one little girl who turned to Joanne before going to the court and asked her a question that baffled everyone. The little girl asked Joanne, "Is Carl going to protect me?" Carl was Carl was able to calm down the girl in a little girl, which made her adore him. In this, her case was difficult, to say the least, because her past experience of when she was wronged by the man at trial, he molested her. We're just gonna say he's a pedo and he molested her and he hurt her. He hurt her so bad that she was scared of him, and he deserves to go to jail and get his face bitten off. But the trial. This girl was wary of the world around her. She had to face the stairs, going through two disposition trials, as well as telling the court about the man did to her while he was feet away from her. Carl did something amazing for that changed her life. Okay. Though the all the prep sessions and dispositions, Carl sat with the little girl, giving her courage to speak, even though she was afraid. The trial, however, would be the most difficult part for her. The little girl entered the courtroom and she froze and was too afraid to face the terrible man. But then she remembered that she had Carl and quickly signed to him. Okay. Eh. Carl responded to the little girl's sign and came over and sat right next to her. He calmed her down in her presence as his big, muscular build made her feel safe. He's so skinny and a good boy. Because she couldn't really reach down to pet him, she kicked her shoes off and run his up. His fur knew that he was there and what she needed to do. Aww, she's so short. Carl sat by her side and the little girl began to testify. Amazingly, she had made it through the entire thing with no problem. All the prepping had paid off. The question that remained was the outcome of the court case. I want to know, and I really want to know. A world of difference, and she is one of those people who should get an award for helping people, but no one cares about people like this, because all people care about is people like Trump who hurt the world, and the rich people who sit there and do nothing for the world. But okay. As one would expect, Carl's story spread far and wide, reaching millions of people all around the world. Carl had truly made his mark on society, whether his story appeared in social media or the news. Everyone adored him. The spreading of his story helped raise awareness for the program that he's a part of, especially the Companions of Curse. Due to this, the program received a lot of attention, which is something the trainers are thankful for. Thankful for all the attention. More children will know they can have the support of a full protector when taking the stand in the courtroom. Even after the whole ordeal is done with, Carl continues to help children. Aftermath. After the trial is done, Carl continues to support the child for as long as they need. He doesn't just disappear from their life. Well, there's a law will be there as long as the child wants Carl to stay in their life. He helps a lot of children, Joanna says. The children can be scheduled visit with Carl to help them transition through the process. Carl doesn't just help the children themselves, but his presence tends to maintain and relax the atmosphere when in the courtroom. When in the courtroom. Oh, I'm not feeling good today. Taking a break. Oh. Carl just carries on with his life, completely unaware that he is a hero to many children. And he had helped. He keeps on with his important job ensuring children don't have to worry anymore. I want to know what these companion courage dogs do when that person jumps from that stand, jumps from behind that table and tries to attack that child. I want to know what that dog does. Does that dog actually get into the defensive position, growl, and basically saying, "Don't you dare"? I wonder if there's a case where these dogs have actually protected this children like this. We visit the hospice. Fuck. He keeps on his important job ensuring that kids don't have to worry about. With all that said, Carl is a busy dog. He visits libraries to read to kids. Cute. He visits a hospice center and even has his own coloring book that speaks about caring for animals. Oh, that's cute. Oh my god. Carl has a great courtroom. Okay, hang on. I am going to Amazon. And I'm going to see if I can get Carl's coloring book. Oh. Carl. Oh, they don't sell it? Oh! Let's just see. No, it doesn't. Ooh, actually, not sculpted. Ooh, that looks cool. Wow, these are cool. Nope, can't find it. Visit Carl's great courtroom dog. Carl's a great courtroom dog. Joanna said, "He's a hero. No two ways about it." When is this almost done? Like, how many more pages? What page am I on? Fuck. Team effort. Along with Carl, his companion Sophia, helps with the disposition this morning in Lake County. Not only do the companions get to help kids in the court, but they get to make friends and get all the hugs they can. Coloring pals. Cute. Here we have a companion boomer helping his little buddy with coloring at the dependency court. They look like they're having so much fun. Aww. working with a judge. Clearly, everyone knows that they're companions of courage. Here are companions. Here are the companions with Daisy May and Maverick, Daisy May and Maverick, who are working with injunction with Judge Lattimore. They are all happy to be here. Cute. Um, these dogs are doing a service that I don't. You know what? I would almost say, you know what? Companion dogs are a good idea, but how about this? Why don't you get reformed criminals to come and stand next to the children who are... And you're all gonna fucking crucify me for this, but, like, reformed criminals who are big and scary and are scary enough to step in that courtroom, stand next to the child and look at that, and look at the person who did this to the kids, and look at them, and as soon as that dude makes the wrong move, run and tackle that guy. Why don't they have them there? Why don't they have people there too? Not only dogs, but if the dog doesn't help, have a person there to help too. Have a person who wants to turn their life around, or like a fireman or a police officer there, which they already have police officers in the courtroom. Why don't you have the police officer stand next to the child, saying it's going to be okay. If he does anything, he gets pulled away. He gets taken out of the courtroom. He can't hurt you anymore. They need the dogs, and they need humans. That would be a good idea. Working the afternoon shift at the Decency Court in Lake County Companion, DuPont is sidling up to his friend, comforting him like a pro. He doesn't want his friend... Who doesn't want a friend like DuPont? DuPont is such a classy name. It's such a good... It's a nice name. Morning shift. Working bright and early, companion Dwayne is covering the Decency Court Lake as his morning shift. He's clearly happy getting petted by his little bud. Okay. How much more longer is this? Boomer is one dedicated companion. He works with his child in Summerport County. He looks prepared to face whatever the day will bring him. Of course, all companions are professional at their job and they know what to do. Like, these companion dogs should be ready. That second that dude even smells like he is about to launch at that kid, that dog should be up over that stand and be on top of that dude in that second. Although, I guess that's what you kind of get a German Shepherd for. I don't want to be the criminal if that Dobie's in that courtroom. Oof. Companion DuPont and Essie are excited to help make a difference in their community. Here they are relaxing after helping out with trials in Sumter County. Good job, guys. Aww. Lots of love. One of the biggest parts about being a companion for courage is that that is all the love and all the love they get on the job. Here companion DuPont. They really like DuPont, don't they? They're getting a lot of affection from a child. I hope that's a kid. Great job. Companions for courage are great at their jobs. Here we have Bella helping a child at the Lake County Courthouse. Looks proud of herself. I don't like it when they dock the ears and dock the tail. It's just so... Waiting patiently. Companion Carl is so well behaved.
He even knows how to sit and wait patiently on the bench. He is waiting for his friend to arrive. He is helping with at the disposition, helping at the disposition at the courtroom soon, and can't wait. As you see, the program has grown much over these years, and I am so happy. Just look at it. This is what all courtrooms in counties should have. I want to see The Lion King, but I'll wait till it comes out. Helping just as you see, the program has grown so much over the years. Now there are more and more programs like this all over the country, helping countless kids testify in the courtroom and put bad guys away. Please be the last one. How many more? 3. All thanks to Carl. The little girl succeeded in her testimony, which led to the man getting convicted. As her testimony was the key to the entire case. Hell yeah. The man was locked up as a result, where he wouldn't be able to hurt anyone ever again. Until the courtroom fucks up and lets him out. Unless he got life in prison with no possibility of parole, which I hope he did. And victory was all thanks to a deaf dog named Carl. He made such a difference to the little girl. We don't need to worry about that man ever again. As it turns out, many people were interested in Carl's story. That's it. Good story. A teenager's notice girl with dad acting strange and they follow her because they know something's wrong. Okay, so it is next. Right. It was just another evening with friends at the local Callery skate park. 4 teenagers were practicing their tricks in undergrounded parking garage. And were having a great time as usual. It was getting late, however, the 4 Canadian boys would soon need to start. However, they emerged from the underground parking lot to a suspicious sight outside and stopped them in their tracks. Not such a normal day. A very distraught young girl with 2 older men were making their way over to the grass towards the parking garage. One of the men was being quite aggressive with a teenager who seemed obviously drunk and somehow impaired. At first, he was walking behind her, then he seemed to realize that they had company. The men's behavior wasn't quite enough to arouse suspicion in the teenagers until they noticed something else about the girl. The shouting. Okay. The shouting. According to one of the teenagers, the Catherine White, she was screaming and yelling. She just wanted to be out of there. That in itself was enough to make them feel uneasy about their situation and their relationship to the men. The 4 teenagers turned their attention and got the men and then confronted them for an explanation. Lucky puppy. The larger of the 2 men explained to the concerned boys that he was the girl's father and stated that she had been drinking too much at a house party and with some unsavory characters, and that he wanted to get her home so that she could sleep it off. The woman didn't ask for help, or nor did she contradict the man's word, so they just let it go for the time being. No, you fucking redneck. I don't want to fucking read about redneck Honey Boo Boo. She can go fuck herself. Something didn't feel right, however. Ignorance is bliss. It was starting to get late, and the boys would need to head home. Picking up their skateboards and trying to leave
The reservation. They started heading back. It was easy to believe that the man, after all, the girl hadn't disagreed with, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was true that the girl had seemed very intoxicated, but the more the boys thought about it, the more uneasy they became. They should try to have. Should they have backed down quickly? Maybe she didn't respond because she couldn't. The man who had claimed to be her father was extremely confident and arrogant. Even would be a father would act. Even unsettling details dawned on them, and had made them question everything they had heard. Okay, something wasn't right. Fuck! She was all scuffed up and dirty, because I recall. She described her looking like she had been struggling against the men for a while. When then, as if putting an end to the conversation, the man hoisted her up over her shoulder like a bag of potatoes, and then was still trying to resist. And then, who was the third man? No way this could be real. More they thought about it, the more they knew they had to do something and that it wasn't just right. They were sure the three knew each other and that they were doing what they were doing outside of the parking lot for an hour. The sinking feeling hit them all at once. They may have been going something dangerous. They hurried back, only hoped that they weren't too late to stop what might have happened to the girl. These guys are three big dudes. They're not tiny dudes. The boys admitted they weren't immediately convinced that something sketchy out. Wright said, "You didn't want to really think that the worst could happen to something like that." I'm that kind of person who always knows that the worst is going to happen. Wright said, "You really don't want to think that of the worst that's going to happen to somebody like you don't want the situation to be real, so you just rush off and hope for the best." Then they arrived outside the parking lot. The trio was nowhere in sight. However, it didn't take them long to figure out where they had gone. They would have to go inside and find where they had taken the girl. Underneath. But what the boys didn't know is that there was much more to the two men when they first to reach the eye. When they entered the underground parking passage in the Trinity Center, they unwittingly entered Callery's dark underbelly. And there was no going back. There was a growing problem in the community. Underneath them all, enough that something was much bigger and darker bubbled. Black market? Speedy underbelly hiding secrets. Officer Arthur J. Johnner had been investigating a spike in criminal activity in southwest Calgary, but various sightings searched proving to be fruitless. Series of rival gangs had dealings in the area, which had reached a terrifying proportions. It's just like a mythical beast. You would take it down it was just like you would take that and like two more arrive. Seeming from nowhere. They had no clue that the four skateboarders were trying to take on the Hydra all by themselves, whatever. Going underground. The boys walked in carefully into the darkness beneath the trees. They had already knew that there were no security guards posted today. They had scoped a lot. They had scoped the lot gleefully before they had taken up their skateboards for the afternoon. The underground was a lot of perfect playing to get up to mischief. Unfortunately, the men had known this too. The mischief of the skateboarding was about to had nothing in common. Okay? Caught on camera. The CCTV footage of two men showing them pacing up and down amongst the parking spaces searching for something. The girl with them as they look for most out of the way corner. Then they spot exactly what they were looking for. They open the door to the stairwell, escort the girl inside,
and all three disappear behind, and all three disc behind it as the door closes behind them. Empty stairwell. The skateboarders quietly crept into the underground lot with an eerily empty on on that particular day. Their first instincts were to look behind the cars that were parked, but they couldn't see the trio anywhere. After a few minutes, they were on their way to the stairwell. All four prayed that they wouldn't be there, but that they could all go home clean consciences. It was getting a little bit too real for comfort. Into the darkness. The darkness. Almost stood still, and his hands on the door handle gave the others a look and told them if they were ready. One swift movement, he swiped down and flung the door open, but the boys found inside left them reeling. They could never prepare themselves for this. Caught. The boys had searched inside the underground parking lot, peering into the rows of cars they had walked through. With many shadows to hide in, the group of three men could be anywhere. But it was only when they searched the stairwells they found them. The scene they had walked was even worse than they had imagined. Face the truth. The boys rounded the corner, startled by what they found. They could make the shape of the men. Instincts told them to run, but in an instant they all resolved to take action. They couldn't leave the girl to her fate. They had to do something. Disgusted. The four boys were disgusted and frozen by the men were doing to her. Amun said one of the boys admitted that he didn't know what to do, but it didn't take long for the out of it. However, they tried to separate the men from the girls. The men, of course, were furious and unprepared to be challenged, but the boys had no idea who they were dealing with. Fuck. Dirty and pure. The taller man, thwarted and angry, tried to leave the situation altogether, washed his hands of it, and the other men, his accomplishment, followed him as they left. Don remarked as they followed, he pushed me aggressively out of the way and kind of like giving me a bit like, I can do this. You can't do anything about it. I couldn't stand by and let them get away. Giving chase. As the men tried to walk out, they turned to the three boys chasing them. One of them had stayed behind with the shaken girl, and the others pursued. The two men tried to outrun them, but they were catching up fast. Determined not to let the man get away in such unspeakable cruelty, the men sprinted through the streets of Calgary. Suddenly, the teenagers caught up. The man had nowhere left to run. Tip-off. Officer Durner was ready and had gotten a tip-off that the men he had been watching had been spotted near Church Center, along with one of his cohorts. He sped through the affluent streets of southern suburbs until he saw the enormous building outlined against the sky. He radioed for backup, but he didn't have to search for the suspect's leader of the gang very long. He practically ran into the side of the squad car. With teenagers in hot pursuit, the man realized he couldn't outrun them forever. They turned to face him. They turned to face the teenagers that were larger. That's when the larger of the two men decided to fight. He ripped the skateboard from the boy's hands and used it as a weapon, trying to push them back. He knew it was the end of the line, but he thought he could win by sheer force. He wasn't prepared for the fight. He wasn't expecting from 4 teenage boys. Little did he know Officer Jenna was only a few feet away. Fuck you. Police intervention.
Before the man could seriously harm the boys, Officer Hunter got involved. He leaped out of his car and wrestled the man to the ground. He couldn't believe he finally had him. However, by the time backup arrived, the second man was long gone. Backed into the hidey hole he had come from. But what about the heroes? Running home. After seeing the police car, they instinctively began to run. They all sprinted all the way back to the parking lot, where they found the boy comforting the girl who had been such a... They had no idea what they had tangled with a notorious... That they had tangled with a notorious gang leader. Making sure she was safe and sound unscathed, the boys returned home, but then the phone calls began. Worry. The teenagers didn't realize their ordeal was over yet. Somehow, they thought they would be in serious trouble for getting in fights. It kept getting phone calls, but were too afraid to answer. What if they were in trouble for fighting a man? Or worse, the man had somehow gotten their contact details. The calls kept coming, and they knew they had to bite the bullet and face the consequences of their actions. They couldn't run away forever. Afraid at first. The police chief, Constable Roger Chanfin, had been trying to call the boys, wanting to thank them for their brave actions. Unfortunately, the boys misunderstood the call. They thought they'd get in trouble for fighting them. And eventually, the calls went through, and the boys got a pleasant surprise, they were told, but also a little fearful. Notorious. The man that they had gotten arrested... Oh, Jesus! The man they had gotten arrested was none other than a key figure in the gang that had been plaguing Calgary for years. The members of the local Calgary gang were well known for their unsavory dealings, including murder. The boys shuddered to think that dark fate they had in store for the girl they had rescued. The police of Calgary had been trying to catch the man for months, but he had somehow managed to evade them. Spilling the beans. When the man was brought into custody and interrogated, he spilled the details of his fellow gang members, from address to a crime list. All were there. Officer Downer was floored how easy he had been. Finally, he had interrogated to tackle the gangs plaguing Calgary. And all thanks to 4 brave young boys. But how could the police found the city of Calgary repay them? The 4 boys were invited to the police chief's award gala in recognition of their service to Calgary and the young boy and the young girl they had saved. All 4 agreed that they had hoped anyone would have done. They had hoped next time they'll know to trust their instincts as much as their boards.
Good kids, good kids. I love how everybody thinks teenagers are hooligans. Teenagers. Bravery. If you had found yourself in the same situation, would you have trusted your gut instincts, or would you have just walked away and headed home? That's when I would have gone to the pawn shop, bought a gun, and shot all 4 of those guys. No joke. What these 4 teens did was I would have gone to, like, a store. I would have gone to, like, a store, bought, like, a set of knives. Or, like, gone to a pawn shop and bought a sword. Grabbed the sword, found where they were, and decapitated all 3 of them. No, what they did was was punishable by death in my mind. What these 4 teens did was an incredible act of bravery and took a lot of courage. It's easy to stand up.
What to even our best?
It took a lot of courage to stand up. One of the adults who seemed to have authority over you, let alone 2. Who knows
What would have happened to the girl if they hadn't trusted? Jesus Christ. If you believe... Okay, finished. A 40-year cold case. Nowhere in sight. Close to 42 years. Nothing more than cold. I don't want to read this. Eerie last known reveals a darker side to history. Okay, you know what? This is way off topic. You know what? I think it's time. There you go. I think it's time to do this. I think I might end the stream. I think we're gonna end the stream. But tomorrow, I hope people do show up. Because I'm gonna do something special. Okay, guys, see ya. Goodbye.